Now, here now with an assessment of Operation Epic Fury, Fox News strategic analyst General Jack Keane is with us. General, always a pleasure to have you. Thank you for joining us. 5,000 major targets in a week and a half. You see what they're doing and the threats that the president has laid on anybody that goes near the Strait of Hormuz. 2 complete top levels of leadership eviscerated. What militarily, as you analyze this, I've never seen anything like it. I don't think anybody has. What does this mean?
Well, it's really quite significant in 10 days what's been accomplished here. And really what's happening, we've got these 2 proven, experienced militaries who've come together with shared values, shared interests, and a common objective here, working together in an air campaign that exceeds anything that we have done in decades. And look at, we operated with allies before. They were willing, and some of them didn't have much capability. And some others were willing, but they wanted to be in a non-combat area. They didn't want to be threatened too much. Or they were willing, but we had to provide air support, intelligence, and logistics support from them. Here come the Israelis. They are completely willing, and they have enormous capability themselves, and it's proven capability. They know how to fight, and they want to get into the fight. And we know why this is. They're fighting for their very survival. And they are a proven, capable organization. We have a 3-star general with a full staff inside the IDF headquarters. They have a 1-star general with a full staff inside the CENTCOM headquarters. The communication that goes on is considerable. And the trust and confidence that we have with each other is also quite exceptional in terms of what we have had in the past. And that is one of the reasons why the results in terms of the execution of the plan has been so stunning and remarkable. And nobody is exaggerating anything here. This is the facts that are on the table, and you've heard them presented here. The offensive operation is succeeding daily to strip away all of their offensive capability, ballistic missiles and drones. And we're penetrating underneath the ground to underground sites to get those missiles, take down those launchers, take down the transportation that moves them, take down the command and control. It is a systematic, deliberate approach to do it. And the same thing with the drones. And the proof is there. Objectively, the percentage of their ability to retaliate is down way over 90%. That is quite remarkable in itself. Defensively, Sean, we have been able to defend what they have been able to launch. They wanted to launch salvos of 25 and 50. Why? To overwhelm Israel's defenses and our own U.S. bases and our allies and partners in the region. They haven't been able to do that, only by an exception. 10 or 12, but normally 2 to 5. And that is well within our ability to handle it. And therefore, the penetration, in other words, what gets past the interceptors, is down in the single digits. It was 14% during the 12-day war. And in April, when Iran attacked Israel, it was up around 20%, which was totally unacceptable. So the fact that the casualties are light, and we certainly grieve and mourn and honor the 7 troops that we have lost and the others that are seriously wounded. And our heart goes out to their families. And with conviction, knowing what they sacrificed here, we are pursuing these objectives with deliberateness and vengeance to get this job done. But the reality is our casualties are very low. And it's because of the success of the offensive operation in taking down the means to attack, and also the success of our defensive operations in its ability to intercept it. It's true for us, it's true for our allies, and it's true for our allies in the region, and also for Israel, our partner in the fight. So yes, this operation is succeeding. 10 days in, how far do we have to go? It's based on the conditions, and that's what we mean. Based on the conditions of achieving those objectives will determine how long this takes. If you ask for an estimate in talking to our commanders about it, and I have, and the Israelis, we're talking a few more weeks to go on here. But that could change. It could be sooner based on our achievement, or it may take longer because other targets come up as opportunities for us, and we want to finish that job and make sure it's complete. That's the path we're on. Where is Iran in all of this? They got a new leader. And by selecting this leader, Sean, they have told the world that they're not going to make any changes whatsoever. This is a tyrannical, barbaric regime that is committed to its ideology to expand the Islamic Revolution throughout the region and throughout the world. And if they were able to survive this, they will try to recover their nuclear program, rebuild their ballistic missile program, support their proxies, and that's not going to happen. We're going to take all of that capability away from them. What do we see inside the regime? There are some cracks in the leadership in terms of feedback that intel services are getting. There are some morale problems in the security forces. There's a huge amount of pressure that they feel. And the truth is, if you're a leader in this organization, you don't know if the fellow standing next to you is one of the informants that's working for the Mossad. Because the exquisite intelligence we get is not just from signals intelligence, our ability to listen, or our ability to see from surveillance and imagery. It comes from informants who give us valuable human intelligence. And so I'm not suggesting this is about the fold, but I am suggesting that there, as a result of 10 days of horror that has been brought to this regime, they are struggling and under pressure for sure. And it's going to get worse for them as the days go on.
As the Prime Minister said, as Kevin Corke reported, be ready. The moment is coming. As President Trump said in the beginning, this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. Don't let it pass. Seize that moment. General Jack Keane, thank you. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.